Objection. The chair now recognizes. Madam Secretary, how many detainers in 2025 did ICE issue to local law enforcement?
It was 201,340.
And I just want to be clear, that means over 200,000 individuals are in the country illegally. You have a notice, final order to remove those individuals. They've been charged with an additional crime, some other crime, harming kids, stealing stuff, armed robbery, maybe even something worse. They're in a jail or detention center, and you send a notice, a detainer notice to that jail or detention center saying, if you're going to release this individual, give us a heads up so we can come apprehend him at the jail. Is that all accurate?
That is accurate, yes.
Okay. Now, and in 68.5% of the country will work with you on that. Most of the country, 2/3 of the country. But a third of the country won't because they're run by left-wing, crazy elected officials. And they say, no, we're not gonna work with ICE. So how many times in the same time period, how many times last year, 2025, were your detainers not honored?
17,864 detainers were declined.
Declined. And now some of them, they may have declined early, but many of those people are out on the street.
Right.
Is that fair to say?
That's correct.
So in these jurisdictions, they say, we don't care that federal law says there's a final order of removal for this individual, and we don't care that this person's been charged with an additional crime. We're going to turn them out on the street, release this individual out on the street, and make you send 6 agents, 12 agents, whatever, to get the bad guy on the street when you could have sent one to the jail and just made it easy. Is that right?
That is correct.
And let me just ask this, is that the dumbest thing you've ever heard?
It is the dumbest. Well, I've heard a lot of dumb things.
Well, I've heard a lot of dumb things from the left as well, but that is certainly near the top, right? Now, here's what's interesting. They don't want it just to remain 1/3 of the country. They want it to apply everywhere. And you know how we know that? 1 month ago today, Leader Hakeem Jeffries and Leader Schumer sent a letter to Speaker Johnson and Leader Thune. And in that letter, they have 10 demands that they want. That's why they shut down the government, they're saying. One of the reasons they shut down the government is they want that policy, which only applies to 31% of the country right now, to apply nationwide. And I just want to read it, because it's point number 4 in their letter 1 month ago. Protect sensitive locations, prohibit funds from being used to conduct enforcement near these sensitive locations. So after they release them, they don't want you to be able to arrest the guy who may have been charged with abusing kids, the detainer wasn't honored, who's released to the street. They don't want you to arrest him near medical facilities, schools, child care facilities. So if he's hanging out near a child care facility, he's been charged with abusing kids and he's here illegally, or a school, you're not supposed to get him there, according to what Leader Jeffries and Leader Schumer said. And I'll ask you the same question. Is that the dumbest thing you've ever heard?
Yes, that is one way to encourage criminals to congregate where children are, is to say that a school would be a safe zone.
And what happens when they don't honor detainers? They release bad guys who were supposed to, according to federal law, be turned over to ICE, and you're supposed to remove them. They release them. What happens is exactly what I talked about in our opening statement. You have guys like this Ortiz fellow, right next door in Fairfax County, Virginia, who was here illegally. You all sent a detainer. And they said last September, nope, we're not going to honor it. They released him to the streets, and he killed someone when it could have been easy. Someone would still be alive today. And as I said before, be one less angel family in this country if they would simply do the common sense thing. But no, they want to expand it, and they want to put back in this protected areas thing. Here's the other thing that's interesting. They all defend what happened in Minneapolis when all the protesters and rioters, or whatever you want to call them, went into the church. So they're allowed to go into the church, and somehow that's fine. They can disrupt the church service, but you're not allowed to go near a church to arrest a bad guy who's been charged with another crime and released to the street. Again, unbelievably stupid. And that is why tomorrow, the House Judiciary Committee is going to mark up the Sanctuary Shutdown Act of 2026. And hopefully, we can pass that, get it to the Senate, pass it, and get President Trump to sign it, because it is the right thing to do. And anyone with common sense understands that. I apologize, I went too long. I'll give you the last 20 seconds.
No, I just appreciate that, and I agree with you wholeheartedly that a lot of what comes at us for criticisms is simply not truth. Every day, and it's interesting, Chairman, as you were talking, I was thinking about the last committee hearing I was at just a couple of months ago in December. that all the Democrats held up pictures of illegal aliens and were defending illegal aliens and talked about them. Now today they're defending citizens because they know they shouldn't be putting illegal aliens in front of citizens. They've changed their method. Now they realize that when they're fighting for people who shouldn't be in this country to begin with, that's a losing statement with the American people, that common sense would tell you somebody who lives here that is a citizen should be prioritized over someone from another country.
Well, but
that's common
Madam
sense.
Secretary, they're not only fighting for people here illegally, they're releasing the bad guys to the streets, for goodness sake.
They are.
That is the problem.